The AI job crisis already started, the jobs that never existed. At 9:04 on a Monday morning, a department head opens next year's budget. His team says they need 5 new people. He approves 2. The other 3 jobs don't go to robots. They simply never exist. Nobody gets fired. There's no protest outside the building and no breaking news banner. But for 3 people who might have started their careers there, the AI job crisis has already begun. The crisis nobody can see, and that's what most people are missing. They're waiting for one dramatic day when companies replace entire offices with machines, unemployment explodes, and everyone finally agrees that the crisis has arrived. But job markets rarely collapse that neatly. They weaken around the edges first. A vacancy is quietly cancelled. A junior role is never advertised. A team of 10 gradually becomes 7, while the people left behind are told they've been empowered by AI. The AI job crisis has already started. It's hiding inside hiring freezes, smaller graduate programs, impossible workloads, and rising productivity targets. The biggest danger isn't that every job suddenly disappears. It's that the route into a stable career could disappear before most people notice. By the end, you'll see why experienced workers may not be the first casualties, and how unemployment can look normal while the damage spreads underneath it. Why mass layoffs are the wrong signal. For years, AI job losses were treated as a future problem. Companies promised workers would be augmented, not replaced, and every alarming forecast received the same answer. Technology always creates new jobs. That may still be true in the long run, but the long run is also a convenient place to hide what's happening now. The International Monetary Fund estimates that around 40% of jobs worldwide are exposed to AI, rising to roughly 60% in advanced economies. Exposure doesn't automatically mean replacement. It means the tasks inside millions of jobs can be reorganized. Companies don't need AI to replace an entire employee. They only need it to remove enough tasks for the same department to operate with fewer people. Imagine a marketing team where AI drafts campaigns, creates images, and produces reports. A human still checks the work and speaks to clients. Technically, AI hasn't replaced the marketer. But if one marketer can handle work that used to require 3 people, the company can stop replacing employees when they leave. It can cancel planned hires, merge teams, and let headcount fall slowly enough to look like normal business. That's why the first stage of the crisis isn't mass unemployment. It's missing jobs. The disappearing first step. Researchers at Stanford's Digital Economy Lab found that early career workers aged 22 to 25 in the occupations most exposed to AI experienced a roughly 16% relative decline in employment. The effect was strongest in jobs where AI automates work, rather than simply assisting with it, while employment among experienced workers remained far more stable. That should set off alarm bells, because junior employees do exactly the kind of work AI handles best. They prepare first drafts, write basic code, summarize documents, answer routine questions, clean data, and learn by watching experienced colleagues correct their mistakes. On a spreadsheet, those tasks can look repetitive and inefficient. But that's how people become competent. The junior analyst building simple models becomes the senior analyst who can spot when a model is wrong. The trainee reviewing basic contracts becomes the lawyer trusted with complex negotiations. Remove that beginner-level work, and you don't just remove low-level jobs. You break the system that creates experienced workers. Companies still want people with judgment, context, and accountability. but they're becoming less willing to pay for the repetitive years that produce those qualities. Some businesses will protect their talent pipelines, but why hire 10 graduates when you can hire 2? Give them AI tools and later recruit experienced staff elsewhere. When every company follows that logic, the pool of experienced people eventually shrinks. It makes sense for each business in the short term, but it damages the labor market as a whole. The race to employ fewer people, companies are no longer vague about where this is heading. In 2025, Amazon's chief executive told employees that wider use of generative AI and AI agents was expected to reduce the company's total corporate workforce over the following years. Klarna said its AI customer service assistant was doing work equivalent to around 700 full-time agents. It later reported that it had streamlined its workforce by roughly 40% since 2022, while increasing the proportion of employees working in technology. The signal is clear. AI isn't just a useful tool. It's a way to increase output without increasing payroll. Once one company proves it can run a department with fewer people, competitors come under pressure to do the same. A manager asking for more staff may first be told to prove why AI can't absorb the extra workload. That creates an automation race. Not because every company wants to eliminate jobs, but because no company wants to pay 10 salaries for work a rival claims it can complete with 6. The World Economic Forum found that 41% of employers expected to reduce staff where AI makes skills obsolete, even as most planned to hire or retrain people for new roles. That sounds balanced, but the new jobs and the disappearing jobs aren't guaranteed to go to the same people. An administrator whose role is automated doesn't automatically become an AI engineer. A graduate locked out of entry-level accounting doesn't benefit because demand has risen for specialists with 5 years of experience. New jobs will be created, may be true for the global economy, and still be devastating for an individual person. When productivity becomes a trap, then we get to the productivity trap. At first, AI saves a worker an hour. That feels useful. But then management notices. The target goes up, the team gets more clients, and deadlines become shorter. A tool that reduced pressure becomes the reason fewer people are expected to do more. Email didn't create a calm, paperless office. It made everybody reachable instantly. AI could go further, measuring people against software that doesn't sleep or ask for a pay rise. Now imagine that continuing for several years, not as a dramatic robot takeover, but as thousands of ordinary decisions made in budget meetings and recruitment systems. A company freezes hiring and tells every team to use AI. Productivity rises, so the freeze stays. People leave, their jobs aren't replaced, and the remaining staff absorb the work. Profits improve. Investors reward the company. Competitors copy it. Recruiters receive fewer junior vacancies, while universities keep producing graduates for careers where the entry points are becoming narrower. Experienced workers may feel safer because AI still needs supervision. But every correction they make, every workflow they design, and every example they provide can help create a process that makes the company less dependent on people like them. The worker isn't only using the tool. In many cases, the worker is helping build the process that could reduce the company's dependence on them. Then, bargaining power shifts. When there are fewer vacancies, employees become less willing to leave. When people fear replacement, they're more likely to accept heavier workloads, weaker pay rises, and closer monitoring. This is where the job crisis becomes a wage crisis, a stress crisis, and eventually a demand crisis. workers are also customers. With less secure employment and slower wage growth, people delay homes, children, businesses, and long-term plans. The companies saving money on payroll eventually end up selling to customers with less money to spend. But each business still has an incentive to automate first and worry about the wider consequences later. The future is still a choice. This isn't the only possible future. The International Labour Organization says transformation is more likely than outright replacement for most exposed jobs, and new occupations will appear. But that reassurance comes with a condition. The outcome depends on how the technology is used. If AI removes tedious tasks, while companies keep their teams, train employees, and share the productivity gains, it could make work better. But if it's used mainly to cut payroll, increase workloads, and concentrate profits, the same technology produces a very different society. The software doesn't choose between those futures. Companies, investors, governments, and workers do. The jobs that were never created. So, has the AI job crisis already started? Yes, just not in the way most people expected. It started when a company decided not to replace someone who left. It started when a graduate vacancy received 2,000 applications because dozens of similar roles had disappeared. It started when an employee used AI to finish faster, only to be rewarded with twice as much work. It started when the first rung of the career ladder weakened, while everyone was still staring at the people standing safely near the top. The biggest danger isn't that artificial intelligence becomes capable of doing everything. It's that it becomes good enough to change the economics of hiring before our education systems and social protections are ready. People compare AI to the Industrial Revolution, but factory machines replaced physical effort visibly. You could see the machine, the closed workshop, and the workers outside the gate. This time, the machine is hidden inside ordinary software. The lost job may never appear on a redundancy list because nobody was hired to do it. The missing career might only become obvious years later, when an entire generation realizes it was never given the chance to gain experience. That's why the argument over whether AI will take all the jobs is a distraction. It doesn't need to take all of them. It only needs to remove enough opportunities, weaken enough bargaining power, and concentrate enough income to make stable work feel increasingly out of reach. The question is no longer whether AI can do parts of your job. The real question is who benefits from the extra productivity. Do workers get shorter weeks, better pay, and more meaningful work? Or do companies get smaller payrolls, while everybody else competes harder for whatever is left? That choice is being made quietly. One budget, one hiring freeze, and one missing entry-level job at a time. The AI job crisis didn't begin with millions of people being fired on the same day. It began when nobody noticed the jobs that were never created. If you want more stories about the systems changing beneath everyday life, subscribe to the Collapse Files.